Numbers 5. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Instruct the sons of Israel to cast out of the camp every leper, and those who have a flow of seed, and those who have been polluted because of the dead. Cast out of the camp both male and female, lest they contaminate it while I am dwelling with you. And the sons of Israel did so, and they cast them out, beyond the camp, just as the Lord had spoken to Moses. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Say to the sons of Israel, a man or a woman, when they have done anything out of all the sins that often befall men, or if, by negligence, they have transgressed the commandment of the Lord, and so have committed an offense. They shall confess their sin, and they shall restore the principal itself, plus a fifth part above it, to any against whom they have sinned. But if there would be no one to receive it, they shall give it to the Lord, and it shall be for the priest, except for the ram, which is offered for expiation, in order to be a pleasing victim. Likewise, all the first fruits, which the sons of Israel offer, belong to the priest. With whatever is offered by each one of the sanctuary, and which is delivered into the hands of the priest, it shall be his. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the sons of Israel, and you shall say to them, the man whose wife will have gone astray, and, disdaining her husband, will have slept with another man, and if her husband cannot discover it, but the adultery is secret, and if it cannot be proved by witnesses, because she was not caught in the shameful act. If the spirit of jealousy stirs up the husband against his wife, who either has been polluted or is being assailed with a false suspicion, he shall bring her to the priest, and he shall offer an oblation for her, a tenth part of native barley meal. He shall not pour oil over it, nor shall he place frankincense on it, because it is a sacrifice for jealousy, or an oblation investigating adultery. Therefore, the priest shall offer it, and he shall set it in the sight of the Lord. And he shall take up holy water in an earthen vessel, and he shall cast a little earth from the pavement of the tabernacle into it. And while the woman stands before the Lord, he shall uncover her head, and he shall place over her hands the sacrifice of recollection and oblation of jealousy. But he shall take hold of the most bitter waters, in which he has gathered curses with loathing. And he shall bind her by an oath, and he shall say, If another man has not slept with you, and if you have not been polluted by forsaking the bed of your husband, these most bitter waters, into which I have gathered curses, shall not harm you. But if you have turned away from your husband, and also have been defiled, and have lain together with another man, these curses shall be thrown upon you. May the Lord turn you into a curse and an example among all his people. May he cause your thigh to rot, and may your abdomen swell up and burst out. May the cursed waters enter into your stomach, and may your womb swell and your thigh rot, and the woman shall respond, Amen, Amen. And the priest shall write these curses in a little book, and then he shall erase them with the very bitter waters, into which he had gathered the curses. And he shall give it to her to drink. And when she has emptied it, the priest shall take from her hand the sacrifice of jealousy, and he shall elevate it before the Lord, and he shall impose it upon the altar. Yet only after he first takes a handful of the sacrifice from that which is offered, and burns it upon the altar, and then he may give the most bitter waters to the woman as a drink. And when she drinks it, if she has been defiled, and, having despised her husband, is guilty of adultery, the curse shall pass through her, and as her belly swells up, her thighs shall decay, and the woman shall become a curse and an example to all the people. But if she has not been defiled, she shall be unharmed and she shall bear children. This is the law for jealousy. If a woman has turned aside from her husband, and if she has been polluted, and if the husband, being stirred up by the spirit of jealousy, has brought her before the sight of the Lord, and the priest has acted toward her according to all that has been written, then the husband shall be without guilt, and she shall bear her iniquity. Number 6. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the sons of Israel, and you shall say to them, a man or a woman, when they have made a vow so that they may be sanctified, and when they are willing to consecrate themselves to the Lord, shall abstain from wine and from anything which is able to inebriate. They shall not drink vinegar made from wine or from any other drink, nor anything pressed from the grape. They shall not eat grapes, neither fresh nor dried. During all the days that they are consecrated to the Lord by vow, they shall not eat whatever may be from the vineyard, from raisins, even to grape seeds. During all the time of his separation, no razor shall pass over his head, even until the completion of the day when he is consecrated to the Lord. He shall be holy, letting the hair of his head grow long. During all the time of his consecration, he shall not enter because of a death. Nor shall he contaminate himself, even over the funeral of his father, or his mother, or his brother, or his sister. For the consecration of his God is upon his head. During all the days of his separation, he shall be holy to the Lord. But if anyone will have died unexpectedly before him, the head of his consecration shall be polluted, and he shall shave it in that very place, on the same day of his purification, and again on the 7th day. Then, on the 8th day, he shall offer 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, to the priest at the entrance to the covenant of the testimony. And the priest shall effect one for sin, and the other as a holocaust, and he shall pray for him, because he has sinned on account of the dead. And he shall sanctify his head on that day. And he shall consecrate to the Lord the days of his separation, offering a 1-year-old lamb for sin, yet in such a manner that the former days will be made null and void, because his sanctification was polluted. This is the law of consecration. When the days that he had decreed by vow have been completed, he shall bring him to the door of the tabernacle of the covenant. And he shall offer his oblation to the Lord, an immaculate 1-year-old male lamb as a holocaust, and an immaculate 1-year-old female lamb for sin, and an immaculate ram, a peace offering victim. Also, a basket of unleavened bread, which has been sprinkled with oil, and cakes without leaven, anointed with oil, as well as the libations of each one. And the priest shall offer them before the Lord, and he shall perform both the sin offering and the holocaust. Yet truly, the ram he shall immolate as a peace offering victim to the Lord, offering at the same time the basket of unleavened bread, and the libations which are required by custom. Then the Nazirite shall be shaved of the long hair of his consecration, before the door of the tabernacle of the covenant. And he shall take his hair, and he shall place it upon the fire, which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. And he shall take the cooked shoulder of the ram, and 1 twist of bread without leaven from the basket, and 1 unleavened cake, and he shall deliver them into the hands of the Nazirite, after his head has been shaven. And receiving them again from him, he shall elevate them in the sight of the Lord. And having been sanctified, these shall be for the priest, as also the breast, which was ordered to be separated, and the leg. After this, the Nazirite is able to drink wine. This is the law of the Nazirite, when he has vowed his oblation to the Lord in the time of his consecration, aside from those things which his hand shall find. According to what he had vowed in his mind, so shall he do, to the perfection of his sanctification. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to Aaron and his sons, thus shall you bless the sons of Israel, and you shall say to them, May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord reveal his face to you and take pity on you. May the Lord turn his countenance toward you and grant peace to you. And they shall invoke my name over the sons of Israel, and I will bless them." Number 7. Now it happened in the day when Moses completed the tabernacle, and he set it up, and he anointed and sanctified it with all of its vessels, and similarly the altar and all of its vessels. That the leaders of Israel and the heads of the families, who were in each tribe and who were in charge of those who had been numbered, offered their gifts in the sight of the Lord, 6 covered wagons with 12 oxen. 2 leaders offered 1 wagon, and each offered 1 ox, and they offered these in the side of the tabernacle. Then the Lord said to Moses, "Receive these things from them, in order to serve in the ministry of the tabernacle, and you shall deliver them to the Levites, according to the order of their ministry." And so Moses, having received the wagons and the oxen, delivered them to the Levites. 2 wagons and 4 oxen he gave to the sons of Gershon, according to what they needed. The other 4 wagons and 8 oxen he gave to the sons of Merari, according to their offices and service, under the hand of Ithamar, the son of Aaron the priest. But to the sons of Kohath he gave no wagons or oxen, because they serve in the sanctuary and they carry their burdens on their shoulders. Therefore, the leaders offered, at the dedication of the altar on the day when it was anointed, their oblation before the altar. And the Lord said to Moses, "Let each of the leaders, on each of the days, offer their gift for the dedication of the altar." On the first day, Nahshon, the son of Amminadab of the tribe of Judah, offered his oblation. And in it were these: a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, according to the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar made from 10 shekels of gold, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for the sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Nahshon, the son of Amminadab. On the second day, Nathaniel, the son of Zuar, the leader of the tribe of Issachar, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, according to the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold having 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for the sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Nathaniel, the son of Zuar. On the third day, the leader of the sons of Zebulun, Eliab the son of Helon, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for the sacrifice of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This is the oblation of Eliab the son of Helon. On the fourth day, the leader of the sons of Reuben, Elazar the son of Shittir, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Elazar, the son of Shittir. On the fifth day, the leader of the sons of Simeon, Shelumiel the son of Zurishaddai, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Shelumiel, the son of Zurishaddai. On the sixth day, the leader of the sons of Gad, Eliasaph the son of Ruel, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Eliasaph, the son of Ruel. On the 7th day, the leader of the sons of Ephraim, Elishama the son of Ammihud, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Elishama, the son of Ammihud. On the 8th day, the leader of the sons of Manasseh, Gamaliel the son of Pedasur, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Gamaliel, the son of Pedasur. On the 9th day, the leader of the sons of Benjamin, Abidan the son of Gideoni, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Abidan, the son of Gideoni. On the 10th day, the leaders of the sons of Dan, Ahiezer the son of Ammishaddai, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Ahiezer, the son of Ammishaddai. On the 11th day, the leader of the sons of Asher, Pagiel the son of Ochran, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 1-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Pagiel, the son of Ochran. On the 12th day, the leader of the sons of Naphtali, Ahir the son of Enan, offered a silver dish weighing 130 shekels, a silver bowl having 70 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary, and both were filled with fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil as a sacrifice. A little mortar of gold weighing 10 shekels, filled with incense. An ox from the herd, and a ram, and a 1-year-old lamb as a holocaust. And a he-goat for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 2 oxen, 5 rams, 5 he-goats, and 5 one-year-old lambs. This was the oblation of Ahira, the son of Enan. These were the oblations from the leaders of Israel for the dedication of the altar on the day when it was consecrated: 12 dishes of silver, 12 bowls of silver, 12 little mortars of gold, such that each dish had 130 shekels of silver, and each bowl had 70 shekels, that is, putting all of the vessels from silver together, 2,400 shekels, by the weight of the sanctuary. And 12 little mortars of gold, filled with incense, weighing 10 shekels by the weight of the sanctuary, that is, altogether 120 shekels of gold. And 12 oxen from the herd as a holocaust, 12 rams, 12 one-year-old lambs, with their libations, and 12 he-goats for sin. And for victims of peace offerings, 24 oxen, 60 rams, 60 he-goats, and 60 one-year-old lambs. These were the oblations for the dedication of the altar, when it was anointed. And when Moses entered into the tabernacle of the covenant, to consult the oracle, he heard the voice of one speaking to him from the propitiatory, which is over the ark of the testimony between the 2 cherubims, and there he also spoke to him. Numbers 8. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to Aaron, and you shall say to him, When you place the 7 lamps, let the lampstand be set up on the south side. Therefore, give this instruction, that the lamps should look out from the region opposite the north, toward the table of the bread of the presence. They shall give light opposite that area, toward the area that the lampstand faces. And Aaron did so, and he placed the lamps on the lampstand, just as the Lord had instructed Moses. Now this was the workmanship of the lampstand: it was of ductile gold, both the main shaft and all that originated from both sides of the branches. According to the example that the Lord revealed to Moses, so did he make the lampstand. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take the Levites from the midst of the sons of Israel, and you shall purify them. According to this ritual, let them be sprinkled with the water of illumination, and let them shave off all the hairs of their body. And when they have washed their garments and have been cleansed, they shall take an ox from the herd, with its libation of fine wheat flour sprinkled with oil. Then you shall receive another ox from the herd for sin. And you shall bring forward the Levites before the tabernacle of the covenant, calling together all the multitude of the sons of Israel. And when the Levites are before the Lord, the sons of Israel shall place their hands upon them. And Aaron shall offer the Levites as a gift in the sight of the Lord, from the sons of Israel, so that they may serve in his ministry. Likewise, the Levites shall place their hands upon the heads of the oxen. You shall make use of one of these for sin, and the other as a holocaust to the Lord, so that you may intercede for them. And you shall set the Levites in the sight of Aaron and his sons, and you shall consecrate those being offered to the Lord. And you shall separate them from the midst of the sons of Israel, so that they may be for me. And after this, they shall enter the tabernacle of the covenant, in order to serve me. And so shall you purify and consecrate them as an oblation to the Lord. For they were given to me as a gift from the sons of Israel. I have accepted them in place of the firstborn which open every womb in Israel. For all the firstborn of the sons of Israel, as much from men as from beasts, are mine. From the day when I struck down all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I have sanctified them to myself. And I have taken the Levites in place of all the firstborn of the sons of Israel. And I have delivered them as a gift to Aaron and his sons, from the midst of the people, in order to serve me, for Israel, in the tabernacle of the covenant, and in order to pray for them, lest there be a scourge among the people, if they were to dare to approach to my sanctuary. And Moses and Aaron, and all the multitude of the sons of Israel, accomplished all that the Lord had commanded Moses concerning the Levites. And they were purified, and they washed their garments. And Aaron lifted them up in the sight of the Lord, and he prayed for them. So that, having been purified, they might enter to their duties in the tabernacle of the covenant before Aaron and his sons. Just as the Lord had instructed Moses about the Levites, so was it done. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "This is the law of the Levites, from 25 years and above, they shall enter to minister in the tabernacle of the covenant. And when they will have completed the 50th year of age, they shall cease to serve. And they shall be the ministers of their brothers in the tabernacle of the covenant, in order to care for the things that have been commended to them, but not to perform the works themselves. So shall you assign the Levites and their duties." Numbers 9. The Lord spoke to Moses in the desert of Sinai, in the 2nd year after they departed from the land of Egypt, in the 1st month, saying, "Let the sons of Israel observe the Passover at its proper time. On the 14th day of this month, in the evening, according to all of its ceremonies and justifications." And Moses instructed the sons of Israel, so that they would observe the Passover. And they observed it at its proper time, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, at Mount Sinai. The sons of Israel acted according to all the things that the Lord had commanded Moses. But behold, certain ones, who were not able to observe the Passover on that day, being unclean because of the life of a man, approaching Moses and Aaron, said to them, "We are unclean because of the life of a man. Why have we been cheated, in that we are not permitted to offer, at its proper time, the oblation to the Lord among the sons of Israel?" And Moses responded to them, "Remain, so that I may consult the Lord, as to what he will rule about you." And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Say to the sons of Israel, the man who becomes unclean because of a life, or if he is on a distant journey within your nation, let him observe the Passover to the Lord. In the 2nd month, on the 14th day of the month, in the evening, they shall eat it with unleavened bread and wild lettuce. They shall not leave behind any of it until morning, and they shall not break a bone of it. They shall observe all the rituals of the Passover. But if any man was both clean, and not on a journey, and yet he did not observe the Passover, that soul shall be exterminated from among his people, because he did not offer the sacrifice to the Lord in its time. He shall bear his sin. Likewise, the sojourner and the newcomer, if they are among you, shall observe the Passover to the Lord according to its ceremonies and justifications. The same precept shall be with you, as much for the newcomer as for the native." And so, on the day when the tabernacle was raised, a cloud covered it. But over the tabernacle, from evening until morning, there was, as it seemed, the appearance of fire. This was so continually. Throughout the day a cloud covered it, and throughout the night, the appearance of fire. And when the cloud that was protecting the tabernacle had been taken up, then the sons of Israel advanced forward, and in the place where the cloud had remained standing, there they made camp. Upon the order of the Lord they advanced, and upon his order they fixed the tabernacle. All the days during which the cloud was standing over the tabernacle, they remained in the same place. And if it happened that it remained for a long time over it, the sons of Israel kept the night watches of the Lord, and they did not advance during as many days as the cloud remained over the tabernacle. At the command of the Lord they raised their tents, and at his command they took them down. If the cloud remained from evening until morning, and immediately, at first light, it left the tabernacle, they set out. And if it withdrew after a day and a night, they dismantled their tents. Yet truly, whether it remained over the tabernacle for 2 days, or 1 month, or a longer time, the sons of Israel remained in the same place, and they did not set out. Then, as soon as it withdrew, they moved the camp. By the word of the Lord they fixed their tents, and by his word they advanced. And they kept the night watches of the Lord, according to his command by the hand of Moses. Thank you for watching. If you like the content on this channel, please press subscribe, the like button or comment below. We'd love to get your tips. See you next time.